All right, welcome to another video for the Math 10 Unit 4 Application Practice Test. So in this topic, we're going to look at the understanding and solving as well as connecting and reflecting portion of the curricular competencies. Please check the info sheet that tells you about the tax rates as well as the CPP contribution rates and the EI premium rates for 2025. Let's try the first question. Zelda earns $1,200 biweekly as gross pay in BC, Canada in 2025. Find her annual gross pay of Zelda. So this is a very easy question. First of all, if Zelda is getting paid $1,200 biweekly, it means that it's going to be $1,200 per biweek. And we can multiply this by, in 1 year, there's a total of 26 bi-weeks per year. So multiplying these two numbers together using the calculator, 1,200 times 26, that's equal to 31,200, $31,200 per year for Zelda. So that's her annual gross pay. Second question, calculate her annual federal income tax. So in order to find the annual federal income tax, we need to look at the tax rates for the federal part. And it says on the portion of the taxable income that is $57,375 or less, the tax rate is going to be 14.5%. So let's find the 14.5% of $31,200. So we do that because our income is less than the first threshold. So I put that into the calculator. 31200 times 0.145, and it's going to be $4,524. And that's our annual federal income tax. And similarly, we need to find the annual provincial income tax. Same thing, we look at the tax brackets. Her income is less than $49,279, so the tax rate is going to be 5.06%. So that's 5.06% of $31,200. So let's put that into the calculator once again. 31200 times 0.0506, and it's going to be $1,578.72. That's question number one. Moving on, Link earns $2,000 semi-monthly as gross pay in BC, Canada in 2025. So to calculate his annual gross pay, well, we need to multiply the $2,000 semi-monthly dollars per semi-month, and we're going to multiply this by 24 because there are 24 semi-months per year. A lot of students confuse between the semi-monthly and the bi-weekly. Semi-monthly means that you get paid twice a month, which means that you get paid 24 times a year. Bi-weekly means that you get paid every 2 weeks, and there's 52 weeks in a year, so there's a total of 26 bi-weeks. Anyway, so let's do 2,000 times 24, which is going to be $48,000 per year. So Link's annual gross pay is going to be $48,000 per year. Doesn't make sense because Zelda is a princess and Link is just an employee. Now let's calculate the CPP contribution. So one thing we know about the CPP contribution is that there is this thing called the basic exemption amount. So the first thing we need to do is we need to subtract the 3,500 from the pensionable earnings, and then we're going to multiply by 5.95%, which is the employee contribution rate. So that's going to be 5.95% of the $48,000 minus the $3,500. So now let's calculate that. bracket 48000 minus 3500 times 5.95%, 0.0595, and it's going to be $2,647.75. Now, for the CPP and EI, unlike the income taxes, there is a maximum value. And for 2025, the maximum contribution is $4,034. So we don't have to worry about this number. If your number exceeds this maximum contribution, then there's this thing called CPP overpayment. So you'll get some money back, and you don't want to do that in the first place. So you're going to take the lesser of the $4,034.10 or your CPP contribution amount. Now the EI premium is similar, except you don't have the basic exemption amount, so you simply multiply 1.64% of the $48,000. So let's put that into the calculator. 48000 times 0.0164. So that's only $707.20. That's the EI premium of Blink for 2025. Moving on to the next question. Gannon has an annual gross pay of $90,000 and he pays $100 in union dues per month and contributes 15% on RSP. Calculate his semi-monthly net pay. So in this question, there's no setup, so I need to do them myself. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate his CPP and EI, and then I'm going to find the tax deductible expenses, and then I'm going to subtract that from the gross pay to find the taxable income, and then I'm going to calculate the income taxes, and then I'm going to find the total deductions, and then I'm going to find the net pay. So it's a lot of work. So maybe I can write it down, the steps before I get started. First, we find the CPP and EI, and then we find the tax deductibles, and then we find the income tax, taxable income, and then we find the income tax, and then we find the total deductions, and then we find the net pay, and then we find the semi-monthly. A lot of steps, and especially in this type of question where you require multiple steps to follow, it's useful information. It's a useful hint. If useful tip. If you list out the steps before you get started, so you can follow along easily. So let's first find the CPP and EI. First thing we notice is that the gross income is $90,000, and this number is quite high, so high that it exceeds the maximum contributory earnings for CPP and as well as maximum annual insurable earnings. So without having to do any calculations, I'm just straight up going to write down the maximum contribution and the maximum premium for CPP and EI, which is $4,034.10 and $1,077.48. So first step, CPP is going to be $4,034.10, and EI is going to be $1,077.48. Let's put an underline there because it's counted towards the deductions. Next step, we're going to find tax deductibles. So apparently he pays $100 in union dues per month. So that's going to be $100 times 12 for the union dues. And then he contributes 15% on RSP. So that's going to be 15% times the $90,000. So that's the union and that's the RSP. And if I put that into calculator, it's going to be 100 times 12 plus 15% of $90,000. So that's a total of $14,700. And that's your tax deductible. So I'm going to underline that as well. With my tax deductibles, I can find the taxable income. The taxable income is going to be the gross minus tax. Sorry, let's write down the heading. Taxable income is gross minus tax deductibles. I think a lot of people use the tax deductible as a way of saying tax deductible expenses. So that's going to be 90,000 minus 14,700. And let's use a calculator. 90,000 minus 14700. And it's going to be 75,300. Now, this number is important because in order to find the income taxes, we need to use the taxable income. So instead of finding the tax on the $90,000, I'm going to find the tax on the $75,300, which is probably exactly why Gannon decided to put 15% of his income in the RSP. Because if you're going to save money anyways, why don't you save money while saving your taxes? And another thing that we notice is that this number is greater than the 57,375 or 49,279 for the first brackets. So we're going to exceed the, the first tax bracket. So in order to find the income taxes, let's find the federal first. We're going to find the 14.5% of the 57,375. That's your first bracket. Plus, you see that, plus 20.5% on the portion of the taxable income over 57,375 up to $114,750. So Gannon's income is not that high. So let's find that 20.5% of his taxable income is 75,300 minus the 57,375 to find the portion that is above 57,375. So let's put that into the calculator. I'm not going to write down more, but I can find the 14.5% of the 57,375 added by the 20.5% times open bracket 75,300 minus 57375, and it's going to be equal to $11,994 as the federal income tax. Let's do the same thing for BC. So similar, BC, it's going to be 5.06% of the first portion is 49,279. And then it's going to be plus the 7.7% of his taxable income of 75,300 minus the 49,279. So that's the portion that's above 49,279, but up to 98,560. So let's put that into the calculator. 5.06% of 49,279 plus 7.7% times the bracket 75,300 minus 49279. And according to the calculator, it's going to be approximately equal to $4,497.13. is $4,497.13. And these are also deductions, so let's put an underline through that. So that's step 4 completed. Now it's time to find the total deduction. To find the total deduction, we need to add every single deductions. Total deduction is going to be, first, that's a CPP of $4,034.10 plus the EI of $1,077.48 plus the tax deductibles of $14,700. That's including the union dues and the RSP, plus the federal income tax of $11,994, plus the BC provincial tax of $4,497.13. And so the tax total deductions is going to be 4034.10 plus 1077.48 plus 14700 plus 11994 plus 4497.13 equals to a total of 36302.71. A lot of money taken away from the paycheck, but that's okay. Now to find the net pay is equal to the gross minus deductions. So that's 90,000 minus 36302.71, and that's going to be equal to 90000 minus 36302.71, and that's equal to 53697.29, $53,697.29. Our final part is to find the semi-monthly. So to find the semi-monthly pay, we're going to do the $53,697.29 per year, and we're going to divide this by, or you can multiply it by 1/24, or if you want to be fancy, should I do that? I'm a fancy person, so let's say there's per 1 year, there are a total of 24 semi-months. If you have taken chemistry, you probably have done this kind of unit conversion methods. Do you do that? So let's put this into the calculator. 53697.29 divided by 24, and that's a total of $2237.39 per semi-month. So that means that Gannon, after all these deductions, he takes home $2,237.39 per paycheck. Good for him. Now he can use this value to set up his budget and pay for rent, pay for foods, pay for insurance, and all that kind of thing. Ganon is kind of an evil being who took over the castle in The Legend of Zelda, so he's earning a lot of money. Question number 4, kind of a turnaround from the financial stuff. The 5th term of an arithmetic sequence is 4, and the 10th term is -21. Find the sum of the first 40 terms of an arithmetic sequence. So let's write down the things that we know. The one that we know is that the 5th term of this sequence is 4, which means I can write it as U5 is 4. And also I know that the 10th term is -21, so that means that U10 is equal to -21. Now I'm going to use these informations to find the general term of the arithmetic sequence. Or more importantly, I want to find the common difference and the value of the first term. And I know that we can use the formula that un is equal to u1 plus n minus 1 times d. Okay? This is a general term formula. So using this formula, I know that the u5 is 4, so that means that 4 is equal to u1 plus the fifth term, so that's 5 minus 1 times d. I also know that negative 21 is equal to u1 plus 10 minus 1 times d. So if I use the systems of equations method, let's clean it up a bit more before we get started. Plus 4d equals 4, and negative 21 equals u1 plus 9d. So I think it's quite natural for us to use the elimination method at this point to find the u1 and d. But instead, because I'm a cooler person, I'm going to switch this into x and y's. 4 equals x plus 4y, and negative 21 equals x plus 9y. And so you see how I'm going to do this? Because we learned about you solving a graphic calculator um, to solve systems of equations, I'm going to do that. I'm going to put my equations 4 equals x plus 4y, and another equation negative 21 equals x plus 9y onto the graphing calculator, and then I'm going to find the point of intersection. Scrolling through the screen, I see the information that says x is equal to 24. Sorry, maybe I should write it like this. POI is the 24 comma negative 5, which means that x equals 24 and y equals negative 5. And what was x again? X is a u1. So we know that u1 is 24 and d is the y. So common difference is negative 5. So using these values, let's find the sum of the first 40 terms of the arithmetic sequence. So the sum formula goes like this. Sn is equal to n over 2 times u1 plus un. Or we can also use the n over 2 is equal to 2u1 plus n minus 1 times d. Now, I know the u1, I know the d, I know the n. N has to be 40 because I want to find the sum of the first 40 terms. And I think it's going to be a better, an easier method, efficient method if I use the second version of the formula because I do not have the un value handy in my hands right now. So let's find the S40. S40 is going to be 40 over 2 plus 2 times 24 plus 40 minus 1 times the common difference of negative 5. So let's put that into the calculator. That's 40 over 2 times my bad here, that's multiplication. Open bracket 2, open bracket 24, close bracket, plus open bracket 40 minus 1, close bracket, open bracket, negative 5, close bracket, and the total becomes negative 2,940. Is the sum of the first 40 terms in this arithmetic sequence. And let's move on to the final question. For the given line, find the slope of a line that is perpendicular to the given line, find the equation of a line that is perpendicular to the given line and passes through the point 5, negative 1, and define the point of intersection of the two lines. So first of all, let's find the slope of a line that is perpendicular to the given line. So in order to find the slope that is perpendicular to the given line, perpendicular means that m1 times m2 is equal to negative 1. So that means I need to first find the slope of the given line. I have two visible points on this line. It seems like it's going to be 3, 0 as my y-intercept, but I'm not certain. So let's find another point. This point looks handy. That's the 6, negative 6. So let's use the slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Let's call that x1, y1, x2, y2. So that's y2 is negative 6, y1 is 6, x2 is 6, x1 is 0. So that's negative 12 over 6. If I don't need to use my calculator, my slope for the given line is negative 2. Let's call that m1. Now that I know that m1 is negative 2, let's use the formula to find the m2. m1 is negative 2 times m2 is negative 1. So that means m2 is equal to 1 over 2. So we know that the slope of a line that is perpendicular to the given line is going to be 1 over 2. Second part, find the equation of a line that is perpendicular to the given line and passes through the point 5, comma, negative 1. So and I think it's going to be an easy method if I use the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 formula, which is, in other words, called the point slope form. So I'm going to plug in the values that I know. Y1, this is my x1, this is my y1. So I'm going to plug in y1, which is negative 1, so that's y minus negative 1, so that's y plus 1. And the m is 1 over 2, and x1 is 5, so that's x minus 5. So that's the equation of a line that is perpendicular to the given line and passes through 5, comma, negative 1. If I want to sketch a graph of this, which is not an important part, you can plot a point on 5, comma, negative 1, which is going to be around, let's use a different color pen, which is going to be about this location, and the slope is 1 over 2. So, and it's perpendicular. It's probably going to go like, it's going to be at 4, at 3, it's going to be negative 2, right? So at 1, it's going to be negative 5. It's going to go like something like that, right? You see it? And you see that the graph is quite perpendicular to each other, which leads automatically to the part C. Find the point of intersection of the two lines. Well, basically, in other words, I need to find the solution of the equation of my lines, and I could be like, okay, that's roughly something, but I don't want to do that, and that's not an exact value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve it graphically. I'm going to find the equation of the given line, and I also know the equation that I found here, and I'm going to find the point of intersection. So, well, the one thing that I know about the given line, it's quite easy. I already found the slope already, which is negative 2. I already know the y-intercept of 0, 6. So that means that the given line is y equals negative 2x plus 6. This is the given line. And I also know that y plus 1 equals 1 over 2 times x minus 5 is line in part B that we found. So to find the point intersection, let's use the graphing calculator. Put this in the graphing calculator. So I have y equals negative 2x plus 6. And I also have y plus 1 equals 1 over 2 bracket x minus 5 bracket, close bracket. So I see the graphs quite similar to the one that I drew here. And if I tap the point of intersection, it seems like that the POI is going to be the 3.8, comma, negative 1.6. And there you go. The answer is 3.8, comma, negative 1.6. That concludes the practice test for the Unit 4 applications in Mathematics 10. Thank you for tuning in this video. Make sure you subscribe as well.